Derrick Lewis knocked out Tallison Teixeira, and obviously the ending of this fight was controversial, but seeing how Teixeira was climbing the fence, I think it was an acceptable decision. I obviously wish that Lewis was able to either put him clean out, but the heavyweight division is a mess now. Lewis was a pretty big underdog, and I liked his chances against somebody like Teixeira, who was getting a pretty big jump up in competition from fighting Justin Tafa to Derrick Lewis. But the heavyweight division is such a mess now because Derrick Lewis is probably one fight away from fighting for the title. I don't know who he would fight that's ranked above him, but at his age, he doesn't have much time left, but I think he has just enough for one more title run. Stehen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim was disappointing to say the least. I had it 1-1 going into round number 3, and Bonfim ended up winning a split decision. I will say that Bonfim will be ranked now, but after that performance, he won't get the opponent that he wants. Dana White said in the press conference that Wonderboy looked good, which he did, but it's pretty safe to assume that the UFC was not happy with how Bonfim fought. So I think he won't get a jump up in competition. And my other takeaway from this fight is that Wonderboy still got it. Unk still got it. He's lost his last 3 fights, but they were against Shavkat, Buckley, and now Bonfim. He should get a little less dangerous opponent, I think, but that win money for Wonderboy is probably so huge that it's probably in the UFC's best interest to keep feeding him to the dangerous up-and-coming guys so they can make a name off of him. But I think he should fight somebody that isn't as dangerous but just offers a fun, stylistic fight. Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia was basically just watching Kattar become a punching bag. It's sad to see Kattar go from somebody labeled as being one of the best boxers to becoming whatever he is now. The punishment he took from Max Holloway feels like has really taken a toll on him. He's also an older featherweight. He's 37 years old, so I guess this was expected, but he is in an odd position now as to who to fight next. Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charriere was the best fight of the night. Charriere should most likely be on the Paris card now. Landwehr was starting to come into his own, and I think Charriere probably needed that knockout, and he came through with it. Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. Austin Lane isn't very good, so I don't know what to make of this fight. Petrino looked good though, and I don't know how many times this can be stated, but it really shows how bad the heavyweight division is. Petrino, who didn't look great at light heavyweight, is now a legitimate prospect at heavyweight. Waldo Cortez Acosta is ranked 6th, and I think with Teixeira losing, who many people were banking on to fight Aspinall one day, it's good that Petrino and one other fighter on the card who I will get to have emerged as legit heavyweight prospect. Justin Tafa versus Tuco Tokos was an embarrassment. Tafa at heavyweight was awful, and now he was supposed to be in great shape and look good at light heavyweight. Tafa got taken down multiple times, and he had initially done a good job of not getting submitted and doing more damage in round 1, even though Tokos had the control time. He opened up the second round with some heavy shots, and he rocked him, but it just didn't matter because he's not a well-rounded fighter at all and ended up getting submitted. It's also funny watching the light heavyweights go up to heavyweight and look decent and be able to rack up wins in that division, but heavyweights going down to light heavyweight don't seem to succeed. It does make me wonder how somebody like Jamal Hill would look at heavyweight. He wouldn't be able to put on the weight like Vitor Petrino has, but he's so much more skilled than some of these heavyweights that I think him being smaller may not be as much of a problem. Max Griffin versus Chris Curtis was also a disappointment. I was expecting Chris Curtis to make easy work of Griffin, and although he did clearly win, his performance was disappointing. He was emoting in the 3rd round as if he's Anderson Silva, like, your performance is not good enough to be doing all that. It's also funny to me how Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis are the most obvious training partners. They fight just alike. But Chris Curtis made his welterweight debut, and although it wasn't the performance I was expecting, he still got the job done. Jake Matthews versus Chidi was a really good win for Matthews. Matthews has been up and down for his career, but it's clear that he has talent. Chidi is one of the higher tier guys that isn't ranked, and Matthews made easy work of him. The welterweight division is stacked, and I don't know which one of the top 15 guys he would fight, but I want him to get a jump up in competition. Lauren Murphy lost to Eduardo Mora. This was Lauren Murphy's last fight. Not much to say here, so moving on to Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Valter Walker. This is probably my favorite story out of the night. Walker may be a legit heavyweight contender. There's obvious concerns about him walking forward with his head down, but it's clear that he has skill that these other heavyweights just don't have. That may not be saying much in that division, but I want to see him fight a ranked opponent. This is his third win in a row via heel hook. He's not morbidly obese like some of the other fighters, and it's clear that he has obvious holes in his game, but it just may not matter until he faces a certain caliber of opponent. Mike Davis defeated Mitch Ramirez. He controlled him for a majority of the first round, and in the second round, Ramirez was getting some of his offense going, but Davis connected with the knee and put him out with some follow-up shots, so good win for Davis. Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez was the best finish on the card, after Klein put out Martinez with the head kick. This card was a roller coaster. The first few fights and the finishes that were happening made me think that this was going to be a really good fight night, but the main card was a little disappointing, but it's still miles better of whatever we usually get in the Apex. Let me know how you felt about this event, thoughts on the Derrick Lewis stoppage, the heavyweight prospects, the Wonderboy decision, and until next time, peace.